Ever get that feeling? Scrolling endlessly, connected to everyone online, yet somehow feeling like you're the only one in the room.
Oh, definitely. And our source for this deep dive, well, they certainly seem to have felt it.
Yeah, it sparked a pretty radical thought, actually. What if we designed society around AI so humans could kind of step back into a simpler, more connected way of life?
What's really interesting here is this underlying tension, isn't it?
Right.
We're constantly told more tech equals more connection.
Right.
But this article, Let AI Run the World, I'm going back to my tribe, by Stephen Higgins, he works in automation, an AI enthusiast. It flips that idea completely.
How so?
Well, maybe this constant connectivity is actually, part of the problem, contributing to a sense of isolation.
Exactly. So, look, we're not here today to debate if an AI run tribe is definitely the future or anything,
No, not at all.
but we really want to dig into why this idea even pops up. What does it tell us about what we truly crave in our, well, increasingly digital world?
Okay, let's start with that feeling. Being constantly plugged in, but deeply alone sometimes.
Mm.
The article paints a picture many of us can probably relate to. You wake up, there's a flood of notifications.
Instantly overwhelming.
Right. Endless scrolling, navigating these crowded digital spaces, but all while feeling this strange sense of emptiness.
And it's more than just a feeling, isn't it? The article points out some numbers.
Yeah, pretty significant numbers. About 1 in 3 Americans report feeling lonely at least once a week.
1 in 3. Think about that. With all our supposed connections, all these apps and platforms.
A huge chunk of us are regularly experiencing this lack of real closeness. It really does make you wonder what's missing.
It does. And the article touches on how so many online interactions can feel, well, a bit light. Superficial, maybe.
Yeah, superficial is a good word. There's that idea of trying to keep up with masses of superfluous happenings,
Just saying it sounds exhausting.
isn't it? And that comparison, online interactions being like fast food for our social needs, that really hits home.
It does. You get a quick hit, maybe a like or a comment.
But it doesn't truly nourish you. It's like that T. Franklin Murphy quote about getting reactions to silly nonsense online.
Right, but maybe missing out on those deeper, more meaningful conversations and the fact that loneliness is now being recognized as a serious public health concern.
That really underscores this disconnect, doesn't it? Despite all the tech promising to bring us together, something fundamental seems to be, well, missing.
Precisely. The article highlights that, while we can connect with people across the globe, rediscover old friends.
Which is great, sometimes.
Sure. But a large percentage of people surveyed actually feel these tech-based relationships lack real depth.
It suggests we might be making a trade-off. Trading a few strong, close bonds for this vast network of weaker ties. Hundreds of loose connections.
Okay, so this paradox, hyper-connected yet deeply disconnected, that seems to be a central point here.
Absolutely.
Now, the article then shifts gears a bit, looking at our evolutionary roots. This idea of humans as tribal creatures. Why is understanding that part important here?
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Hmm.
The article brings in Robin Dunbar's work.
Dunbar's number.
Exactly. That idea that our brains are really only wired, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
to handle around 150 stable relationships.
Okay.
And it also mentions the biologist Paul Ehrlich, his observation that at our core, Homo sapiens are fundamentally small group animals, thriving in groups around that size, or even smaller.
So, for most of human history, we lived in these relatively small, tight-knit communities. That was the norm.
Right.
But now, we're part of societies with millions, even billions. We're navigating online networks the size of, I don't know, major cities. That's a massive leap in scale.
A huge leap. And our brains haven't really caught up, have they?
Doesn't seem like it.
And as Ehrlich sort of wryly observes, we're often doing a lousy job of it.
Well, you can see that, can't you?
Oh, yeah. You see the effects in information overload, the
Yeah.
tendency for people to maybe retreat into smaller, more homogenous online bubbles.
Echo chambers.
Exactly. And just that general feeling of being overwhelmed by the sheer complexity of it all. It's almost like our ancient social wiring is just getting overloaded.
Which really brings to mind that powerful quote from E.O. Wilson. You know the one?
Remind me.
The real problem of humanity is that we have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology.
Ah, yes. That sums it up perfectly. Our deep-seated needs for close connection.
Our Stone Age feelings.
Right, they're bumping up against the sheer scale of modern life and the frankly, unbelievable power of our tech. It's a bit of a fundamental mismatch, isn't it?
It really feels like it sometimes.
Absolutely. And it's this mismatch, this tension that really fuels the whole AI-powered tribal fantasy the article explores.
Okay, so let's unpack that fantasy.
The central idea is quite compelling, actually.
Yeah.
What if? What if AI could handle all the big stuff?
The big stuff being...
You know, the incredibly complex infrastructure, the
Yeah.
relentless bureaucracy, the overwhelming digital noise, all of that.
Okay.
And that would free us up, humans, to focus on the small stuff.
Which is the real human connection stuff.
Exactly, those
Oh.
genuine human interactions that seem to be slipping away for so many people.
Okay, let's get a bit more specific about this big stuff. What kind of tasks are we actually talking about handing over to these hypothetical AI assistants?
Well, think about just the sheer complexity of running a modern society, right? Global supply chains.
Mind-bogglingly complex.
Totally. Then there's the constant flow of emails, messages we all have to manage, the 24/11 news cycle demanding our attention,
Always on.
the endless forms, bureaucratic processes we encounter. It's honestly exhausting just listing it all.
Yeah, it is.
So the idea is that sophisticated AI systems could manage a lot of this seamlessly, in the background.
So the AI takes care of the power grid, maybe schedules our appointments, filters out the digital junk.
Yeah, filters the noise, maybe even handles interactions with government services or something.
It paints a picture where we can actually take a breath, not constantly glued to our devices or buried under admin tasks.
Precisely. And this leads to the vision of a hypothetical AI-supported community. Maybe around that Dunbar's number, say, 100 people or so.
A small tribe?
Kind of, yeah. And the article gives some interesting examples. Autonomous systems delivering groceries,
Okay, convenient.
an AI managing a local solar power grid for the community,
Sustainable.
an AI assistant filtering out irrelevant digital noise, only alerting the community to things that are genuinely important for them,
Imagine that morning routine. Instead of immediately grabbing your phone,
which so many of us do.
right, you're maybe walking over to a shared space for coffee with your actual neighbors.
And the AI has already made sure the fridge is stocked, the lights are on, thanks to the AI-managed energy system.
And your attention hasn't been hijacked by 100 overnight notifications about things that don't really matter.
Exactly. And the potential shift in daily life described is quite significant.
Yeah.
More emphasis on face-to-face interactions.
Actual conversations.
Yeah. Collaborative local projects, like building something together, maybe a shed, or sharing skills like baking,
Getting your hands dirty.
and a deeper connection with the natural world around the community. That image of people gathering around a fire in the evening, sharing stories, music.
It's very evocative, isn't it? That sense of close community.
It is. But it's important to remember, as the article stresses, this isn't about, going back to the Stone Age.
Right, it's not pre-technology.
No, the underlying AI infrastructure is still there, managing all those complex systems that, actually make modern life more convenient in many ways.
So it's about having the close bonds and maybe the slower pace of a village.
But without the constant struggle for basic necessities that often came with that.
Okay. But this vision, while it sounds appealing in some ways, it naturally brings up some big questions, doesn't it? Considerations.
Oh, absolutely. And the article itself touches on these. One key aspect is just the complete reversal of how we currently use technology.
How so?
Well, we primarily use it now to connect across vast distances, right?
Yeah.
Globally.
Yeah, that's the main.
This idea proposes using it to intentionally disconnect from the masses and reconnect within a very small, very local group. That's a flip.
And would that truly lead to greater well-being? Or could it maybe lead to other issues, like feeling limited or even, I don't know, aimless within these small tech-managed bubbles?
That's a crucial question, definitely. And the article also raises that delicate balance between technology caring for us and potentially controlling us.
The control aspect.
Entrusting so much responsibility to AI systems requires a huge leap of faith, right?
Absolutely.
And it does bring up the possibility of over-reliance, the author's analogy.
Yeah.
Darkly funny, comparing us to potentially becoming well-kept house pets of our AI.
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a thought-provoking image, not exactly empowering.
Not really.
Mhm.
And we also can't just romanticize small group life, can we?
No, tribes weren't always harmonious utopias.
Exactly. The article acknowledges that. There were still interpersonal conflicts, gossip, power dynamics. That's human nature, perhaps.
Plus, this kind of lifestyle just wouldn't appeal to everyone, surely.
Definitely not. What about people who thrive on the energy and maybe the anonymity of big cities? Or people driven by large-scale ambitions? this wouldn't fit.
Right. And what about the potential downsides of becoming too insular if you're just in this small group?
Would we miss out? Miss out on the incredible diversity, the dynamism of global culture. That's a real risk.
It seems like it.
The article does float the idea of maybe a more flexible hybrid model.
Yeah.
Perhaps individuals could move between these close-knit groups and the wider world as needed.
Like having the best of both worlds? Maybe.
Maybe. But this really brings us back to the core question the article's exploring,
Which isn't necessarily about this specific AI tribe model.
No, not really advocating for it directly. It's more using it as a lens, a way to examine what we really desire from technology. What's the point of it all?
Beyond just making things faster or more efficient, what's the ultimate goal?
Yeah. And the article connects this to the fundamental promise of innovation, right? More free time, greater prosperity.
The dream.
If we actually reach a point where AI handles so much of the mundane, the drudgery,
Yeah.
how would we choose to spend that newfound time?
That's the million-dollar question.
The author, describing himself as an introvert, shares his personal preference activities like gardening, reading, fostering those close, meaningful relationships.
Which sounds lovely, but maybe not everyone's choice.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that while tech offers incredible possibilities, we need to really think about what truly contributes to our human flourishing. The article's pretty clear that this vision of an AI-powered tribe is, a simplified thought experiment. It's not pretending AI is some perfect problem-free magic wand.
No silver bullet.
Definitely not. But it rephrases that central question in a really compelling way. Could a deliberate step back towards a more human-scaled way of living, could that actually be a step forward for society?
Interesting way to put it. A step back is a step forward.
And the article points to existing trends. Things like the popularity of mindfulness retreats. You see co-housing projects popping up, people actively moving to smaller, quieter towns.
Like there's already evidence of this underlying longing.
Exactly. Oh, longing for a different pace, maybe. Deeper connections. It seems to be there.
And ultimately, the article suggests that the very tools of modern life, the tech that seems to be pulling us apart sometimes,
Could potentially, if used thoughtfully, actually help us rediscover some of that ancient human connection and simplicity. It's about how we use the tools.
Oh, okay. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear this article isn't offering some concrete blueprint for an AI-led tribal future.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Instead, it's more of a fascinating thought experiment designed to make us reflect really on our deepest desires in this digital age we're all navigating.
And it leaves us, and leaves you listening, with some really intriguing questions to ponder, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, how does this idea, this whole concept of an AI-managed world allowing for small, close-knit communities, how does that resonate with you? Does it feel comforting? A little creepy? Maybe just completely crazy?
Yeah. Where do you land on that spectrum? And could you actually see yourself choosing to live in a small, AI-supported community like the one described?
Or do you find the energy, the opportunities, the sheer scale of our current fast-paced world more appealing? Is that where you feel you belong?
Ultimately, this deep dive into Stephen Higgins's thought experiment, it really encourages us all to consider the trade-offs we're constantly making, maybe without even realizing it.
Trade-offs like?
Well, the balance between global connectivity and local intimacy, convenience versus authenticity, the relentless pursuit of growth versus maybe a more sustainable, human-centered way of life.
Lots to think about there. It really makes you pause and consider what kind of future truly resonates with you personally.